Imagine the bustling streets of St. Petersburg in the sweltering heat of a Russian summer during the 1860s. The city is alive with activity, yet beneath its vibrant facade lies a world of desperation and poverty. In a cramped, dilapidated apartment, a young ex-student named Rodion Romanovich Raskolnikov grapples with his thoughts. Tall, handsome, but disheveled, his piercing eyes reflect a mind in turmoil, burdened by extreme poverty and a sense of isolation. He teeters on the brink of a monumental decision that will alter the course of his life. Raskolnikov is consumed by an extraordinary idea. He believes that certain extraordinary individuals possess the right to transgress moral laws to achieve a higher purpose. Inspired by figures like Napoleon, he theorizes that great men can commit acts deemed immoral if it leads to the greater good. This philosophy takes root in his mind, festering alongside his dire circumstances. Desperate for money, Raskolnikov visits Alyona Ivanovna, a miserly old pawnbroker known for exploiting the destitute. Her greed and cruelty become a symbol of societal decay in his eyes. He pawns a silver watch, barely receiving enough to sustain himself. As he leaves, a sinister plan begins to form. A plan to murder Alyona and redistribute her wealth to those in need, believing this act will affirm his theory and elevate him beyond the confines of ordinary morality. Haunted by his thoughts, Raskolnikov wanders the streets, lost in a haze of feverish contemplation. He encounters Marmeladov, a drunken former official, who pours out his woes in a dimly lit tavern. Marmeladov speaks of his family's suffering, his consumptive wife Katerina Ivanovna and his daughter Sonia, who has been forced into prostitution to support them. This meeting deepens Raskolnikov's awareness of the pervasive misery around him. Upon returning home, Raskolnikov receives a letter from his mother, Pulcheria Alexandrovna. She writes of his sister Dunya's impending marriage to a wealthy lawyer, Fyodor Petrovich Luzin. Raskolnikov perceives this union as a sacrifice on Dunya's part to secure financial stability for the family. The thought fills him with anger and guilt, reinforcing his resolve to carry out his plan. The day arrives. In a state of detached determination, Raskolnikov makes his way to Alyona's apartment under the pretense of pawning an item. The tension is palpable as he ascends the stairs, each step echoing like a heartbeat. Once inside, time seems to slow. In a sudden, brutal act, he strikes Alyona with an axe, killing her instantly. As he searches for valuables, her half-sister Lizaveta unexpectedly enters. Shocked and terrified, Raskolnikov reacts on impulse, murdering her as well. Fleeing the scene, he returns to his room, overwhelmed by panic and nausea. The gravity of his actions crashes down upon him. He hides the stolen goods under a rock in a random courtyard, unable to bring himself to use them. The wealth that was supposed to justify his crime becomes a burden, a physical manifestation of his guilt. Raskolnikov falls into a delirious fever, oscillating between paranoia and indifference. He isolates himself, avoiding all human contact. His friend Razumikin, a loyal and optimistic ex-student, becomes concerned. Razumikin's attempts to help are met with resistance, but his persistence provides a lifeline for Raskolnikov. Meanwhile, the city buzzes with news of the murders. The police begin their investigation, and Raskolnikov is summoned to the station over an unrelated matter. The coincidence unnerves him, and his erratic behavior arouses the suspicions of Porfiry Petrovich, the astute examining magistrate. Porfiry is intrigued by Raskolnikov's published article on criminal psychology, which discusses the very ideas that led to the murder. As Raskolnikov grapples with his conscience, he crosses paths with Sonia Marmeladova, the embodiment of innocence tainted by circumstance. Drawn to her selflessness and suffering, he confides in her, finding a kindred spirit who understands the depths of human despair. Sonia, guided by her devout faith, becomes a beacon of hope for Raskolnikov. Tensions escalate when Luzin arrives, intent on marrying Dunya. His pompous and manipulative nature becomes evident as he attempts to assert control over the family. Raskolnikov confronts Luzin, exposing his true character and prompting Dunya to break off the engagement. This act liberates Dunya, but intensifies the family's financial woes. Porfiry Petrovich continues his psychological cat-and-mouse game with Raskolnikov. In a series of probing conversations, Porfiry hints at his suspicions, using subtle manipulation to unsettle Raskolnikov. The walls begin to close in as Raskolnikov's mental state deteriorates. He oscillates between arrogance, believing himself above the law, and crushing guilt that gnaws at his soul. In a pivotal moment, Raskolnikov meets Svidrigailov, Dunya's former employer with a dark past. Svidrigailov reveals his obsession with Dunya and offers Raskolnikov assistance. Their interactions are fraught with tension, as Svidrigailov embodies the amoral freedom Raskolnikov thought he desired. Yet, witnessing Svidrigailov's depravity forces Raskolnikov to confront the reality of his own actions. The climax builds as Raskolnikov teeters on the edge of confession. Sonia urges him to seek redemption through suffering, emphasizing the importance of accepting responsibility. Torn between his ideology and the unbearable weight of his guilt, he finally breaks. In a raw and emotional scene, he confesses his crime to Sonia, who responds with compassion rather than condemnation. Determined to face his fate, Raskolnikov turns himself in. He is sentenced to 8 years of hard labor in Siberia. Sonia follows him, offering unwavering support. In the harsh landscape of the prison camp, Raskolnikov endures physical hardships and internal battles. It is here, stripped of all pretense, that he begins a slow and painful transformation. Through Sonia's love and the shared suffering with his fellow inmates, Raskolnikov experiences a spiritual awakening. The novel concludes with a glimmer of hope, a rebirth of sorts, as he opens himself up to the possibility of redemption and genuine human connection. Raskolnikov is a complex and multifaceted protagonist. His intellectual arrogance masks a deep-seated insecurity and compassion for others. He embodies the conflict between reason and emotion, wrestling with philosophical theories that clash with his innate morality. His journey is one of descent into madness and gradual emergence into self-awareness. Sonia represents purity and self-sacrifice. Despite her circumstances, she maintains a steadfast faith and compassion that inspire those around her. She serves as Raskolnikov's moral compass, guiding him toward redemption. Porfiry Petrovich is a cunning and insightful investigator. His psychological tactics peel back the layers of Raskolnikov's facade, revealing the turmoil within. Porfiry's methods highlight the battle between intellects and the power of conscience. Razumikin provides a foil to Raskolnikov. His practicality, kindness, and dedication contrast sharply with Raskolnikov's isolation and despair. Razumikin's growing relationship with Dunya adds depth to his character, showcasing his capacity for love and loyalty. Svidrigailov is a shadowy figure whose hedonism and disregard for morality serve as a dark mirror for Raskolnikov. His ultimate suicide underscores the emptiness of a life devoid of ethical grounding. Crime and Punishment delves deep into themes of morality, redemption, and the psychology of crime. It examines the idea of whether ends can justify means and the consequences of transgressing moral boundaries. The novel explores the duality of human nature, the capacity for both good and evil within a single individual. Raskolnikov's internal struggle reflects the conflict between nihilism and compassion. The theme of isolation versus connection is prevalent. Raskolnikov's alienation exacerbates his descent, while his interactions with Sonia and others begin his path to healing. Suffering as a path to redemption is a central message. Through physical and emotional pain, characters find meaning and the possibility of spiritual renewal. St. Petersburg is depicted as a city of contrasts, vibrant yet suffocating, grand yet squalid. The oppressive atmosphere mirrors Raskolnikov's mental state. Narrow, dirty streets and overcrowded tenements create a sense of claustrophobia. Dostoevsky's vivid descriptions immerse the reader in the sensory experiences of the city, the stench of poverty, the heat of summer, the cacophony of urban life. The setting becomes a character itself, influencing and reflecting the character's actions. The bleakness of Siberia represents both punishment and the potential for renewal. The stark landscape forces Raskolnikov to confront his inner self stripped of societal distractions. The narrative evokes a range of emotions, from tension and dread during the murder to empathy and hope in Raskolnikov's quest for redemption. The psychological depth of the characters draws readers into their inner worlds. The suspense of whether Raskolnikov will be caught keeps the audience engaged, while the exploration of his psyche provokes introspection about morality and justice. Sonia's unwavering compassion elicits admiration and serves as an emotional anchor amidst the darkness. Crime and Punishment is a profound exploration of the human psyche and the complexities of moral philosophy. Through Raskolnikov's journey, Dostoevsky delves into the ramifications of intellectual hubris and the search for redemption. The novel challenges readers to consider the nature of justice and the possibility of forgiveness. It portrays the struggle between the allure of grand theories and the grounding reality of human compassion. In the end, Raskolnikov's acceptance of his humanity and the love extended to him by Sonia offer a hopeful message that even in the depths of despair, redemption is attainable through connection and acceptance of one's flaws. The story remains a timeless reflection on the conflicts that reside within us all, urging a contemplation of the values that define our actions and the paths we choose toward atonement.